Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming to you live and direct from Black Fact Central today. It's another day, another beautiful day in paradise, as we always like to say. Another beautiful day in paradise. And today, we've got the proverb of the day coming right at you. Familiarity breeds contempt. Distance breeds respect. Familiarity breeds contempt. Distance breeds respect. And that's a proverb from the country of Niger, which is spelled Niger. If you put two G's, you got the wrong word. You put one G, you got the right word. And we give it the French pronunciation of Niger, as opposed to some other pronunciation. Some people do call it Niger, though. So you have the like the river Niger. All right. Poem. Moving on. Coming up out of the last poet's book, Vibes from the Scribes. What do the scribes have to say today? Got some commentary on the signs of the times. And we're doing this poem here. Blessed are those who struggle. This is by Suleiman El Hadi. Okay, blessed are those who struggle. Blessed are those who struggle. Oppression is worse than the grave. Better to die for a noble cause than to live and die a slave. Blessed are those who courted death, who offer their lives to give, who dared to rebel rather than serve, to die as so that we might live. Blessed are those who took up arms and dared to face our foes. Nat Turner, VC, Gabriel, Sin-Q, to mention a few names we know. Blessed are the memories of those who were there at the Harper's Ferry raid. Strong were their hearts, noble their cause, and great was the price they paid. Blessed are the voices of those who stood up and cried out, let us be free. Douglas and Garvey and Sojourner Truth, Dubois and Drew Ali. Blessed are the giants that we have loved and lost to the bullet's sting, like Malcolm and Medgar and the Panthers who fell, and even Martin Luther King. And blessed are the bodies of those who were hung from the limbs of the sycamore tree, who found end to their hope at the end of a rope, because they dared to attempt to be free. Up through the years, we've fight our liberty to obtain, and though we have faced insurmountable odds, yet the will to resist remains. Blessed are the spirits of those who have died in the prisons all over this land, who committed one sin, they stood up like men and got iced for just being a man. Blessed all you who will join with us now in the struggle of life and death, so that freedom and peace will be more than a word to the offspring that we have left. And there we have it. Blessed are those who struggle, for oppression is worse than the grave. It's about time that we do what we need to begin to save ourselves, that is. Moving right along out of the book of Dumas, Henry Dumas, that is, Ark of Bones. Going to do a little prose today. In other words, short story. And this is part 2 of Ark of Bones. Part 2. You remember we left off with Head Eye and his friend. I don't remember the friend's name right off the bat. Down at the side of the river. This is the Mississippi River we're talking about. And so let's continue on from there. Hey, I hollered to him. I hid. Can't you see the river's on the rise? Let's shag out of here. He ain't pay me no mind. I picked up a couple of sticks and chunked them out near the place where he was standing, just to make sure he ain't fall asleep right out there in the water. I ain't never knowed Head Eye to fall asleep at a place, but being as he's so damn crazy, I couldn't take the chance. Just about that time, I hear a funny noise. Head Eye hear it too. Because he motioned to me to be still, he he waded back to the bank and down to the broken down planks at Dead Man's Landing. I followed him. A couple of drops of rain smacked me in the face, and the wind, she was whipping up a sermon. I heard a kind of moaning like a lot of people. I figured it must be in the wind. Head-Eye is jumping around like a perch with a hook in the gill. Then he find himself. He come to just stand along the planks. He's in the water about knee deep. The sound is steady, not getting any louder now and not getting any lower. The wind, she's steady whipping up a sermon. By this time, it got kind of dark. And me, well, I done got kind of scared. Head-Eye, he's all right, though. Pretty soon he called me. Fish hound. Yeah? You better come on down here. What for, man? Can't you see it getting ready to rise? He ain't saying nothing. I can't see too much now because the clouds done swole up so big and mighty that everything's getting dark. Then I sees it. I'm getting ready to chunk another stick out at him. When I see this big thing moving in the far off, moving slow on the river. Nah, it was upriver. Nah, it was just moving and standing still at the same time. Damnedest thing I ever did see. It just about a damn boat. The biggest boat in the whole world. I looked up and what I took for clouds was sails. The wind was whipping up a sermon on them. It was way out in the river, almost not touching the water, just rocking there, rocking and waiting. Head-Eye, I don't see him. Then I look and I see a rowboat coming. Head-Eye, he done waded out about shoulder deep and he's waving to me. I ain't know what to do. I guess he about know that I was getting ready to run because he holler out, "Come on, fish, hurry, I'll wait for you." I figured maybe we was dead or something and was going to get the glory boat over the river and make it on into heaven. But I ain't say it out loud. I was so scared, I didn't know what I was doing. First thing, I was side by side with Head-Eye, and a funny-looking rowboat was drawn alongside of us. Two men about as black as anybody black wants to be was steady stroking them paddles. The rain had reached us, and I could hear that moaning like a church full of people pouring out their hearts to Jesus in heaven. All the time, I was trying not to let on how scared I was. Head-Eye, he ain't paying no mind to nothing except that boat. Pretty soon, it comes to rain hard. The two big black jokers rowing the boat ain't say nothing to us. And every time I look at Head-Eye, he popping his eyes out, trying to get a look at something far off. I couldn't see that far, so I had to look at what was close up. The muscles in those jokers' arms was moving back and forth every time they swung them oars around. It was a funny ride in that rowboat because it didn't seem like we was in the water much. I took a chance and stuck my hand over to see, and when I did that, they stopped rowing the boat. And when I looked up, we was drawn alongside this here ark. And I tell you, it was the biggest ark in the world. I asked Head-Eye if it was Noah's Ark, and he tell me he ain't know either. Then I was scared. They was tying that rowboat to the side where some heavy ropes hung over. A long row of steps were cut in the side near where we got, and the moaning sound was real loud now. And if it wasn't for the wind and rain bearing and beating and whipping us up the steps, I'd swear the sound was coming from someplace inside the ark. When Head-Eye got to the top of the steps, I was still making my way up. The two jokers were gone. On each step was and I couldn't help looking at them numbers. I don't know what number was on the first step, but by the time I took notice, I was on 1,608. And they went on like that, right on up to a number that made me pay attention, 1944. That was when I was born. When I got up to Head-Eye, he was standing on a number, 1977. And so I ain't pay the number any more mind. If that ark was Noah's, then he left all the animals on shore because I ain't see none. I kept looking around. All I could see was doors and cabins. While we were standing there taking in things, half scared to death, an old man came walking toward us. He's dressed in skins and his hair is gray and very woolly. I figured he ain't never had a haircut all his life, but I didn't say nothing. He walks over to Head-Eye. That poor boy's eyes about to pop out. Well, I'm standing there and this old man is talking to Head-Eye with the wind blowing and the moaning. I couldn't make out what they were saying. I got the feeling he didn't want me to hear either because he was leaning in on Head-Eye. If that old fella was Noah, then he wouldn't like to know I'd seen him on Sunday school picture cards. No, sir. This old guy was wearing skins and sandals, and he was black as Head-Eye and me put together. And he had thick features like us, too. On them pictures, Noah was always white with the long beard hanging down to his belly. I looked around to see some more people, maybe Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or wives, and the rest who was supposed to be on that ark. But I ain't see nobody. Nothing but all them doors and cabins. The ark is steady rocking like it's floating in on air. Pretty soon, Head-Eye come over to me. The old man was going through one of the cabin doors. Before he closed the door, he turns around and points at me and Head-Eye. Head-Eye, he don't see this, but I did. Talking about scared, I almost ran and jumped off that boat. If it had been a regular boat, like something I could stomp my feet on, then I guess I just would have done it. But I held still. Fishhound, you ready? Head-Eye say to me. Yeah, I'm ready to get ashore. I meant it too. Come on. You got this far. You scared? Yeah, I'm scared. What kind of boat is this? The Ark, I told you once. I should tell you, I could tell now that the roaring was not all the wind and voices. Some of it was engines. I could hear that chug, chug, like a paddle wheel whipping up the stern. When we getting off here? You think I'm crazy like you? I asked him. I was mad. You know what that old man did behind your back? Fishhound, this is a soul boat. I figured by now I best play along with Head-Eye. He got a notion going, and there ain't nothing mess his head up more than a notion. I stopped trying to fake him out. I figured then maybe we both was crazy. I ain't feel crazy, but I damn sure couldn't make heads or tails of the situation. So I'd let it ride. When you hook a fish, the best thing to do is just let him get a good hold, let him swallow it, especially a catfish. You don't go jerking him up as soon as you get a nibble. With the catfish, you let him go. I figured I'd better let things go. Pretty soon, I figured I'd catch up with something, and I did. Well, me and Head-Eye were kind of arguing, not loud, since you had to keep your voice down on a place like that Ark out of respect. It was like that. Head-Eye, he tells me that when the cabin doors open, we were supposed to go down the stairs. He said anybody on this boat could consider himself called. Called to do what? I asked him. I had to ask him because the only kind of calling I knew about was when somebody hollered at you when the Lord called somebody to preach. I figured it out. Maybe the Lord had called him, but I knew doggone well he wasn't calling me. I hardly ever went to church, and when I did go, it was only to play with the gals. I knowed I wasn't fit to whip up no flock of people with holiness. So when I asked him, call for what? I ain't have in my mind nothing I could be called for. You'll see, he said, and the next thing I know, we was going down steps into the belly of the ark. The moaning jumped up into my ears, loud, and I could smell something funny, like the burning of sweet wood. The churning of a paddle wheel filled up my ears. And when Head-Eye stopped at the foot of the steps, I stopped too. What I saw, I'll never forget as long as I live. And you probably won't either, because we got to end our little story right there. But we'll continue it on on the morning, on the morrow. Certainly we will. And hopefully there won't be no sorrow tomorrow. Don't forget, we still got copies of this book. Get them while you can. Hot off the press. And if you get it ordered now, you get a signed copy. Go to eBay, Pyramid Books. Look for the book, What is Juneteenth? In the meanwhile, we're going to have to sky on up out of here. Time for us to shag out. So we're going to do just that. But don't forget, in the meanwhile, if you're watching on YouTube, don't be a boob. Hit the subscribe button on the tube for the Black Facts channel, so you'll be notified next time we're doing our live stream. If you're seeing us on Facebook, don't forget, go ahead, hit the like button and give us a share. Show everybody that you really do care. Don't just sit there starting to stare, because ain't nothing worse than somebody sitting out there staring. We call them lurkers. Yeah, we don't necessarily like lurkers. So don't be a lurker. Be a, well, we don't want you to be a twerker. Don't be a quirker. So just be yourself and go ahead and hit that button. That's what we need you to do. Hit that button. Meanwhile, we'll be back tonight, 9 o'clock. This is Doc Ock at noon and 9 signing out. Peace out now.